It is such an exciting week this week. I feel like all of my hard work over the last like 6 months is finally coming, not to an end, that sounds dramatic, but the launch of the SLA Sparkle Season collection is this Friday, and I am feeling like just overwhelmed with like excitement and proudness and just like, oh, I don't know, I just love when everything's come together. It's all gone as smoothly as it can do, and the response has been so overwhelming to this collection that I just feel so full of just so full. Like, I just feel so happy because it's like why I do this is for you guys. Like, I will love designing clothing that makes people feel amazing, and I just, yeah, I don't know, I just feel like the response from this collection has just been insane, and I'm so excited. Basically what I'm going to spend my week doing is getting everything super ready for it, making sure everything's in place, getting the warehouse all ready, making sure they're all ready to go because it's going to be a big one. But yeah, I'm very excited, basically is the moral of this. Anyway, so I thought first things first, before, oh sorry Nelly, you're sitting in a very annoying place. You're right underneath Mummy's feet. For first things first, what I thought I'd talk about is, in my video on Wednesday, I spoke a little bit about my CBD that I use, and I had loads of questions about it. So I thought instead of replying individually, I thought I'd just cover it all, talk about the one that I use, why I use it, what it's good for, all that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in finding out about the CBD that I use, you've come to the right place, basically. So I've spoken a little bit about my anxiety before on both Instagram and YouTube, so I apologise if you have heard this before, but just to give anyone who doesn't know a bit of a roundup. So I have been suffering with anxiety, I would say, for about 5 years now. It has gotten progressively worse. I think the stresses of my job, the pressures of being online, you know, like dealing with the opinions of other people for a long period of time. I mean, it's almost 10 years that I've been doing this as a career, so you can imagine that does take its toll on someone. I feel like anxiety is a really hard thing to explain, especially to someone who doesn't have it, and it's also quite hard to, for me, I think, to sort of pinpoint exactly like why it happened, where it came from, all that sort of stuff. All I know is that I would say about 5 years ago, I just sort of felt like an almost like watered down version of myself. I found myself saying no to like social events. I didn't want to go out, didn't want to meet new people, just really wanted to stay in my safe space, which was the people I knew, you know, my friends and family. And I don't know, and that's not like me. I am a very sociable person. I'm very chatty. Like, I like to think you could put me in a dinner party with no one that I knew and I would make friends with everyone. Like, I'm not a shy person. So when I started feeling these sort of feelings, it was weird for me because I'm so confident and because I'm so like bubbly and out there and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so that's sort of like a little background as to like what I felt kind of happened and how it slowly progressed. Now, I must say, I only know this now because looking back on it, I kind of feel like I've worked out where it stemmed from, but I definitely didn't do anything about it, and I let it get progressively worse for almost up to like about 6 months ago, and it really started to affect everything. Like, it affected my work, it affected my friendships, it affected my relationships with family, just it affected my relationship with Joe because I was so on edge all the time and we'd argue a lot. Just everything. Like, anxiety really is just such a hard thing to deal with. But mine was particularly bad in the morning. I really suffered and still suffer from. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's gone away because it hasn't. I've just found ways to manage it. But my morning anxiety was horrendous. I would literally have mornings where I did not want to get out of bed. I would wake up and I'd just cry. I didn't know why. I'd just cry. Like, it wasn't like anything was making me, it's not like something had happened to make me sad. I just knew I didn't want to do anything that day, and that feeling was so overwhelming that I would cry. And it just this feeling of like, it's almost like a nervous feeling. It's like where you feel sick, you know, when you get real like butterflies and nervousness, but it's not like a nice nervous happy butterfly feeling. It's like a, oh my god, I don't know what's wrong with me, this feeling's awful, and then you just overthink everything and stress out and it just snowballs. Anyway, little bit of a, it's a very loose explanation of anxiety to anyone who maybe doesn't have it or doesn't know what it is, but it's really hard to explain anxiety, so that's kind of my best shot at it. Anyway, so I basically, over the course of, I would say 2022, because it was actually my New Year's resolution to really try and get a hold of it and work out how to make it better, because you don't have to live with anxiety, and that's what I realized, is that there is things I can do to make it better, you know. So as I mentioned, I started going to therapy, so that's huge for me, but because that was like one thing that I was really scared of doing and just didn't know how I was gonna, you know, do it, and the thought of it was really scary. But one thing that I found really easy to add into my day to help with the anxiety was CBD. I'd seen it around, I'd heard loads of people recommending it to me, you know, whenever I talked to about like friends and family, they'd be like, you should try CBD, but I don't know, I just didn't really ever try it. And then it wasn't until this year that I was like, I'm gonna give it a go. So the brand of CBD that I use is CB2, that is the brand name there. I started off with their Discovery Duo set, which I'll explain this to you in a second, but I basically use the 5% CBD, and I use it every single evening before I go to bed. I just put some drops underneath my tongue, let it sit for a bit, and then you just swallow it down. It's super, super easy to take and really easy to fit into your routine. It's not like, it's not an effort, you know, you just do it before you go to sleep, and it's just made such a difference. Like, I can't actually remember the last morning I woke up with really bad, like a really sick, anxious feeling, and believe me, before I was taking CBD, it was like almost every single morning. Whereas now, unless there's something really stressful that does happen, or I'm really worried about something, or, you know, there are different factors that happen in life which are going to cause different effects on you, but it has made a difference, because like even now I'm like trying to rack my brain, I'm thinking I really genuinely can't remember the last time that I had one of those, especially the mornings where I just cry, because they just haven't happened in so long, thank God, because they're just, it's not fun for anyone, you know. So CB2 is great because, as I mentioned, they do this Discovery Duo set, which basically is, it contains two 2ml things of CBD. One is 2% and one is 5%. So the reason why that's so good is it allows you to basically find the strength that works for you. It also comes with a 100-day money-back guarantee, which I think is amazing. So if you try it and you're like, this isn't working, I don't actually feel a difference, you can get a refund. I feel like the other reason why I like it is it's almost like you feel you're like a little bit more in control of your anxiety, because I feel like by doing that little few droplets before I go to bed, it's almost like it's a weird thing, but it's like I'm like, like that's it, like, you know, that's keeping you at bay. You know, it's just a mental thing, but I like doing it because it makes me feel like I'm doing something to really help me, which also I think just makes me feel better. You know, I feel like I'm being proactive, and I think the one thing I found when my anxiety is at its worst, it's when I feel like I'm not being proactive, I'm not doing as much as I feel like I should be. Not to put pressure on myself, I don't want to feel like I'm like overdoing it, but like when I feel like I know there's more I could be doing, that's when I get even more anxious. It's kind of a vicious circle, but that I do think is why that helps, because it makes me feel like I'm actually making an effort to help me, you know. So yeah, I will leave a little discount code in the description below for you guys if you're interested in trying it out. But if you do suffer from anxiety, like, there are things out there to help, and I know because I've been there. I didn't do something for so long, and I know how easy it is to just leave it and think, this is my life now, this is what I live with. But take it from someone who, as I said, like, mine got so bad, like, as it really did, and I feel like I'm getting on top of it. And so I like to think that I hopefully will be a little bit of hope for someone out there who maybe is still dealing with it, that thinks there's no way out. There is, and you know, there are so many other things as well that you can do, but that's why I know I did my self-care videos. I've done part 1 and part 2 where I talk about all my little self-care routines, and those also are super important for dealing with anxiety, because I feel like when I'm in a very calm routine and everything is in place and it's all done on time and I feel like I'm in control, my anxiety is definitely a lot less. So there's loads of little things that you need to work out what you can do to make yourself feel better, but it's all personal, you know, it's all down to what you think makes you feel better. But just have a play around. But I would definitely recommend trying CBD if you haven't already.